Please, someone come. He's gone mad. Everardo is gonna kill me.
Have you ever thought about how a man could deceive FBI agents? How a woman could become a prisoner in her own home? And how New Year's Eve could turn into a nightmare? This story began in the final days of 2024, and it ended in a way no one could have ever imagined. Houston, Texas. Wednesday morning, January the 2nd, 2024. It was only 6:43 a.m. when a call came into the HPD, Houston Police Department. The voice on the other end of the line was trembling, frightened, and had nearly turned into a whisper. Please, someone come. He's gone crazy. The operator began asking standard questions. Address, name, what happened? But the woman kept repeating, Everardo, he's going to kill me. Now you. As you listen to this story right now, ask yourself a question. If you realized that someone you loved could hurt you, what would you do? Would you run? Would you call the police? Or would you stay and try to fight? Keturah Williams was facing exactly this question, but her story was far more complex than just a case of violence. Because Everardo Navarro wasn't just an ordinary man, he was a man who had managed to deceive even the FBI. Keturah Williams was a 42-year-old woman living in the Gulfton neighborhood of Houston. She was the only daughter of a black family. She had lost her mother 15 years ago, while her father lived as a retired bus driver in Florida. Keturah was one of those millions of women trying to build their lives alone. She worked as a cashier at a supermarket, trying to pay her rent, struggling with her bills. Her social life was limited. She had a few close friends. She went to church on Sundays. And until the age of 41, she had never been married. Marriage had always remained distant for her. She'd had a few relationships in her youth, but none had lasted. Her family would constantly ask, "When are you going to find a man, Keturah?" And each time she would smile and say, "Whatever God provides." But deep down, she was lonely. Being in her 40s, being alone, everyone around her married with children. Sometimes it weighed heavy on her, especially on New Year's Eve, when everyone was celebrating, when everyone was joyfully entering the new year. She would sit quietly at home, watch shows on TV, and then go to sleep. She was planning to do the same when moving from 2023 to 2024. But life sometimes has completely different plans. November 2023. On her way home from work, Keturah stopped at a small cafe she always visited to get coffee. It was called Coffee Bean, a place everyone in the neighborhood knew. That day, like always, she walked through the door, placed her order, and began waiting. Just then, she heard a voice from the table next to her. "Excuse me, were you sitting here?" Keturah turned around. Before her stood a middle-aged man with dark skin and slightly curly hair. His clothes were clean. There was a kind smile on his face. No, said Keturah. "That's empty." The man smiled. "Thank you. Everything gets crowded at this hour." Under normal circumstances, Keturah wouldn't have continued such conversations. But that day, maybe she was tired, or maybe she liked the man's polite manner. "Yes, lunch hours are always busy like this," she replied. And at that moment, Everardo Navarro entered her life. The man introduced himself. His name was Everardo. He was an American of Mexican descent. He worked in construction. He had just moved to Houston. His speech was smooth, sweet, sincere. As Keturah got her coffee and was leaving, Everardo politely asked, Maybe we'll run into each other here again someday." Keturah smiled. Maybe. When Keturah returned home that day, she felt strange. There was excitement in her heart, but also unease. "Don't be silly, Keturah," she said to herself. "It's just a meeting, that's all." But somewhere deep, there was hope. Maybe this time could be different. 2 days later, she went to the same cafe again, and yes, Everardo was there. Smiling, he waved to her. "It's good that we met again." This time they talked longer. Everardo told her about his life. He had grown up in Mexico, came to the U.S. at a young age. He talked about his family. He said he had 2 children, but was separated from his ex-wife. He told her he missed his children very much, that he worked hard for them. Keturah listened, and something softened inside her. This man had suffered too. This man was lonely too. Maybe they could be good for each other. Weeks passed. They began meeting regularly. Everardo brought gifts every time. Small things. Chocolate, flowers, coffee vouchers. "I was thinking of you," he would say, "and I couldn't resist buying this." Keturah had forgotten this feeling valued, feeling special. In the first week of December, Everardo invited her to dinner, a beautiful Italian restaurant. Candlelight, wine. "Keturah," said Everardo that evening, "you're a special woman. Do you know that?" Keturah smiled. She was embarrassed. "Thank you." "No, I'm serious." Everardo touched her hand. "Meeting a woman like you is a gift." That night, as Keturah returned home, she was flying. What she had waited 42 years for was finally happening. She was falling in love. But love sometimes blinds the eyes. In mid-December, Everardo made her an offer. "Keturah, I want to be close to you, but staying in hotels is very expensive. Maybe. Could I stay with you? Just for a few days, until we find our own place." Keturah hesitated. Wasn't it too soon? But Everardo looked at her so sincerely. She couldn't say no. "Okay," she said, "but just for a short time." Everardo moved in. At first, everything was normal, but then, small things began to change. When Everardo came home, he started checking Keturah's phone. "Who are you texting?" he would ask. "Just my friend," Keturah would say. "Which friend? Show me." Keturah was uncomfortable, but she thought, "It's jealousy. He loves me. That's why he's like this." Then Everardo told her not to talk to her co-workers. "Do you have male friends there?" he asked one day. "No, just co-workers," said Keturah. "Don't talk to them. You're my woman. You don't need to talk to other men." Keturah protested. "Everardo, it's work. I have to talk." But Everardo's face hardened. "I want what's good for you, Keturah. You don't know how dangerous men can be." And at that moment, Keturah was scared for the first time. What she saw in his eyes wasn't love. It was the desire to control. But what could she do? She was in love. And maybe everything would get better. When Christmas Day came, Keturah wanted to see her family. Her father was calling from Florida. "Daughter, I want to see you. Come visit us this year," Keturah told Everardo. "I'll go for a week. I need to see my father." Everardo's reaction was cold. "You're going to leave me," he said. "On Christmas? Shouldn't we spend it together?" "Everardo, he's my father. I haven't seen him in a year." "You don't love me," Everardo shouted. "Otherwise you wouldn't go." And that day, for the first time, Everardo yelled at her. He hit the table. He slammed the door. Keturah cried. But in the end, she didn't go. She called her father. "Dad, I can't come this year. There are problems at work." Her father noticed the sadness in her voice. "Are you okay, daughter?" "I'm fine, Dad. Don't worry." But she wasn't fine. On Christmas Day, Everardo was silent. He wasn't talking. Whatever Keturah did, she tried to cheer him up. She made special meals. She bought gifts. But Everardo's face was like ice. As New Year's approached, Keturah became hopeful. Maybe everything will change in the new year, she thought. Maybe the old Everardo will come back. When New Year's Eve came, Keturah prepared a special dinner. At 11:30 p.m., as they watched the countdown, Everardo sat down next to her. "I love you, Keturah," he said. "But you make me sad. You don't listen to me." "Everardo, Be quiet," he shouted. "You don't always need to talk." Keturah froze. When midnight struck, as the city filled with fireworks, Everardo stood up. He took Keturah's phone and broke it. "You don't need this anymore," he said. "You'll only talk to me." Keturah screamed, "What are you doing?" But Everardo silenced her. "Don't scream, or you'll regret it." And that night, Keturah understood. She was now a prisoner. When Keturah woke up on New Year's Day, Everardo was standing at the door. "You're not going to work today," he said. "What?" "But I have a shift today. I said you're not going. You'll say you're sick. Keturah tried to object, but Everardo's gaze was so cold. She was afraid. Without a phone, she couldn't even notify her workplace. Everardo had a phone, but he wouldn't let her use it. That day, Keturah was imprisoned in her home. Everardo locked the door from the outside. You'll stay here until I get back. Where are you going? Asked Keturah. None of your business. And he left. Keturah cried for hours. She felt like a prisoner. When Everardo returned that evening, he was drunk. Why are you crying? He shouted. I'm treating you well. Everardo, please, let me go. I want to leave. Leave? Everardo knocked over the table. You can't go anywhere without me. Do you understand? Nowhere. That night, Keturah experienced serious violence for the first time. I don't want to describe the details because they're painful. But I can say this. The next morning, Keturah didn't recognize herself in the mirror. On the morning of January 2nd, Everardo left again. This time he forgot the door. He didn't lock it completely, Keturah noticed. She felt her heart racing. This was her only chance. She slowly approached the door. She turned the handle, and the door opened. She ran. Down the stairs. Outside the building, she went to one of the neighbors. An elderly woman. Mrs. Harlow, please. Please call the police. She begged. Mrs. Harlow was shocked. Keturah, my God, what happened to you? Please? Just call. And the police were called. At 6:43 a.m. they connected to the operator, Keturah's trembling voice. Please, someone come. He's gone crazy. Operator, who's gone crazy, ma'am? Everardo. He's going to kill me. The operator got the address. Units were dispatched, but Keturah didn't know. Everardo's past was much darker, and the FBI was already looking for him. Police sirens echoed through Houston's streets. At 6:58 a.m., 2 patrol cars arrived in front of Keturah's apartment. Officer Jackson and his partner, Officer Torres, exited the building. Their guns were ready but on safety. Neighbor Mrs. Harlow met them at the door. Inside, she said. Keturah is inside, but I'm afraid that man could come back any moment. Officer Jackson asked seriously, which apartment? 213. The 2 officers climbed the stairs. Alert with each step, they knocked on the door. Houston Police Department. A weak voice came from inside. Open! The doors open. When they entered, the scene they saw froze them. Keturah was sitting on the floor in the corner. Her face was bruised, her lips split, her eyes swollen. Officer Torres immediately grabbed his radio. We need an ambulance. Emergency. Officer Jackson crouched beside her. Ma'am, what's your name? Keturah. Keturah Williams. Keturah, who did this to you? Everardo? Everardo Navarro. He lives here. Lives with me. Where is he now? I don't know. He left this morning. He could come back any time. Officer Jackson looked at his partner. Torres immediately understood and gave information on the radio. Suspect's name is Everardo Navarro. Hispanic male. Approximately 45 years old. Maybe armed. Wanted in the area. The ambulance arrived 10 minutes later. As Keturah was taken to the hospital, the officers stayed in the apartment. They began collecting evidence. Broken phone. Fist marks on the wall. Bloodstains. But most importantly, documents in Everardo's bag. When Officer Jackson opened the bag, his eyes widened at what he found inside. Fake IDs. At least 4 different names. From different states, credit cards. All in different names. And a notebook. Inside were names, addresses, birth dates. Jackson called to his partner. Torres, look at this. Torres came and examined what he saw. His face became serious. This is identity theft. Serious level. We might need to call the FBI. And 2 hours later, the FBI got involved. Special Agent Lenora Mitchell and her partner, Special Agent Marcus Reed from the Houston FBI office came to the scene. Mitchell was an experienced agent. She'd been with the FBI for 15 years. She specialized in white-collar crimes. She opened the file in her hand and showed it to Officer Jackson. Everardo Navarro, she said. That's not his real name. Jackson was surprised. What do you mean? His real name is Everardo Miguel Soto Reyes. Mexican citizen. 52 years old. 52? But the woman said 45. Mitchell nodded with a bitter smile. This man is used to lying. His identity, his age, his past. Everything is a lie. Reed added. We've been looking for him for 3 years. The officers were shocked. 3 years? Said Torres. What did he do? Mitchell put the file on the table. She pulled out photographs from inside. He defrauded at least 23 different women in 9 states. Identity theft, credit card fraud, marriage fraud. Looking at the photographs, the sight they saw was disturbing. Different women, different ages, but all the same profile alone, middle-aged, in need of love. The modus operandi is simple, said Mitchell. He targets lonely women. He approaches them, gains their trust, then moves into their homes and steals their identities. He opens credit cards, takes out loans, empties bank accounts, then disappears. Reed added, but this time is different. This time he used violence. There were no such cases before. Mitchell frowned. This makes him more dangerous. Torres asked, so how did he fool the FBI? You said you've been looking for him for 3 years. Mitchell took a deep breath. Because he uses a different identity each time, goes to different states. He's very good at losing his trail. In 2021, we caught him in California, but he was released on bail before trial, and he escaped. Since then, he's been one step ahead of us every time. Jackson asked, so what do we do now? Mitchell was determined. First, we need to talk to the victim. Then we'll find this man. At the hospital, Keturah was receiving treatment in the emergency room. The doctor diagnosed her with a cracked rib, extensive facial bruising, and mild concussion. But the worst was the psychological trauma. Keturah was constantly shaking, looking around with fearful eyes. He's coming, she whispered. He'll find me. The nurse tried to calm her down. You're safe. The police are outside. But Keturah didn't believe it. At 2:30 p.m., FBI agents arrived at the hospital. Mitchell gently entered Keturah's room. Reed waited outside. Ms. Williams, said Mitchell in a soft voice. I'm Special Agent Lenora Mitchell. From the FBI. Keturah looked with fear. FBI? Why? Mitchell sat down in a chair. Because Everardo Navarro, or the man you knew, is actually a federally wanted criminal. Keturah's eyes widened. What? His real name isn't even Everardo Navarro. It's Everardo Miguel Soto Reyes, and you are his 24th victim. Keturah's world collapsed. 24th? She whispered. Mitchell nodded. I'll have questions for you. But first I want you to know this. You're not alone. There are other women, and they all went through the same thing. Keturah began to cry. I just wanted to be loved. I know, said Mitchell. And he used that. He used your vulnerable moment. Over the next hour, Keturah told everything. How they met, their first meetings. How Everardo was sweet, kind, and caring. Then how he changed. How he became controlling. How he committed violence. Mitchell was taking notes. Every detail was important. Did Everardo ever talk to you about his family? She asked. Yes, said Keturah. He said he had 2 children. That they lived in Mexico? Did he talk about his ex-wife? Yes, he said they separated. That the woman left him. Mitchell nodded. All lies. He was never married. He has no children. Keturah was shocked. But why? Why would he lie like that? Because he wants to gain sympathy. He wants to draw you in. He gives the image of poor man, hurt, alone. And women feel sorry for him. Then you trust him. You take him into your home, and he steals your identity. Keturah held her head in her hands. How stupid am I? No, said Mitchell firmly. You're not stupid. You were manipulated. This man is a professional con artist. He's been doing this for years. But now we're going to catch him. Mitchell asked, does Everardo have a phone? Yes, but he wouldn't let me use it. Do you know the number? Keturah tried to remember the number. Finally, she said it. Mitchell immediately called Reed. The number was entered into the FBI system. They began tracking the phone. But Everardo was smart. His phone was off. Mitchell turned to Keturah. Are there places Everardo goes? Friends, work? No, said Keturah. He had no friends. He was always with me. He'd say he was going to work, but never said where. Mitchell took notes. Do you know his car's license plate? He didn't have a car. He always went on foot or by bus. This made things difficult, but Mitchell wasn't someone who would give up. Keturah, she said. What's in Everardo's bag? I don't know. He never let me touch it. What about laptops? Tablets? No, just a phone, Mitchell thought. Then asked, do you have a bank account? Yes. Have you noticed any strange activity in your account recently? Keturah paused. I didn't look. Everardo took my card. He said, I'll go shopping. Mitchell's heart raced. When? Yesterday, on the 2nd day of the new year. How much money was in your account? Around $3,000. My salary savings. Mitchell immediately grabbed the phone. She called Reed. Check Keturah Williams's bank account. Any activity from yesterday to today? Reed checked on the computer. A few seconds later, the answer came. Yes. Yesterday at 3:47 p.m., $2,500 were withdrawn. From an ATM. From a branch on Kirby Drive. Mitchell narrowed her eyes. Camera footage? Requesting it now. Mitchell turned to Keturah. Keturah, he stole your money. But that's a good thing for us. How so? Because the ATM camera recorded him. Now we can find out where he is. An hour later, the camera footage arrived. And yes, Everardo was there, wearing a blue hooded sweatshirt, his face half hidden but recognizable. Mitchell gave orders to her team. Scan all cameras in the area. Find out where this man went. The FBI launched a full operation in Houston street cameras, traffic cameras, business security cameras. They followed Everardo in every frame, and finally, he stopped at a motel, a cheap motel on Westheimer Road, Starlight Inn. Reed reported, no room registration, but the security camera shows him. He went into room 58. Mitchell was determined. Get ready. We're raiding. But just then, Everardo's phone turned on, just for a few seconds. But it was enough. The signal came from Galveston, 60 kilometers south of Houston. Mitchell cursed. The motel was a trap. The man went to Galveston. Reed asked, what do we do? Mitchell thought, then decided, call Galveston PD, close the borders. This man is trying to escape to Mexico because Galveston was a coastal city, close to the Mexican border. If Everardo crossed into Mexico, finding him would be very difficult. Mitchell turned to her team. We're leaving immediately. We're catching him tonight. And the cars headed toward Galveston with their sirens. Keturah was sitting in her hospital bed, looking out the window. Would Everardo be caught? Or would he escape again and ruin another woman's life? There was fear inside her, but also hope. Maybe this time justice would be served. What do you think? Can Everardo be caught? Or will he fool the FBI one more time? You'll learn the answer in the next part. They were on the road, and Mitchell was thinking, Everardo Soto Reyes, a 52-year-old man. He'd been deceiving women for years, but why? For money? Only for money? Mitchell's experience told her other things. These types of people didn't do it just for money, but also for control, managing other people's lives, making them feel helpless, feeling power. Everardo was like that too. Every woman was prey to him. A toy, a tool, and Keturah was just the latest victim. Mitchell angrily hit the steering wheel. He won't escape this time, she said to herself. Reed was sitting in the passenger seat. Agent Mitchell, Galveston PD called. They've alerted border checkpoints. Port security is also on alert. Good, he might try to escape by boat. Most likely that way. The sea route is the fastest way to Mexico. Mitchell nodded. But we still have time. Everardo has no money. He needs time to rent a boat. At 6:30 p.m. they arrived in Galveston. The city on the coast was small but busy. Tourists, boats, harbors. The FBI team began working in coordination with the Galveston Police Department. Chief Williams met them. He was a senior, experienced police officer. Where did your man's last signal come from? He asked. Mitchell showed the map. From here, near Strand Historic District. That area is busy. Lots of tourists and businesses. I know, but he's somewhere around there. Williams gave orders to his team. Direct all units to the Strand area. Distribute his photo. We're looking for this man. Photos were sent to police, harbors, hotels, restaurants. Everyone was looking for Everardo. But at 7 p.m., there was still no trace. Mitchell was getting nervous. He'll turn his phone on again. He has to. And just then, a report came in. A restaurant owner was calling. Hello, you distributed a police photo. I know this man, Mitchell asked excitedly. Where did you see him? He ate at my restaurant. An hour ago. My waitress tried to tip him, but his card was declined. Which card did he use? I don't know, but my girl told him cash. The man got angry and left. Which direction did he go? Toward the harbor. He walked toward Pier 21. Mitchell hung up the phone and shouted to her team. Pier 21, now. The cars quickly headed to the harbor. Pier 21 was one of Galveston's famous boat harbors. Hundreds of boats. Yachts and ferries docked there. As soon as Mitchell got out of the car, she began scanning the area. It was crowded. People were going to restaurants for dinner. But in a corner, in the darkness, there was a silhouette. Blue hooded sweatshirt. Just like in the camera footage, Mitchell noticed him. She slowly approached. Reed and the other agents approached from different angles. Everardo was sitting on a bench. He had a phone in his hand. He was calling a number. Mitchell stopped 10 meters away. She pulled out her gun but didn't aim yet. "Everardo Soto Reyes," she shouted. Everardo raised his head. There was shock in his eyes. "Put your hands in the air." Everardo slowly stood up. He looked around. FBI agents were surrounding him from every direction. There was nowhere to run. For a moment, Mitchell thought he would run, but Everardo smiled. It was a strange smile, cold, emotionless. "Finally," he said. "You finally found me." Mitchell approached. "Get on the ground, now!" Everardo slowly got on the ground, his hands behind his head. Reed ran over and handcuffed him. "Everardo Miguel Soto Reyes, you're under arrest. For identity theft, fraud, assault charges." Everardo said nothing. He just kept smiling. Mitchell looked at him. There was unease inside her. Why was this man so calm? He'd been caught red-handed. But it was as if he didn't care. As Everardo was put in the car, he turned to Mitchell. "You caught me," he said. "But there are others." "Many more." Mitchell froze. "What do you mean?" Everardo smiled. "I'm not alone. We are many, and you can't catch all of us." And the car moved. Mitchell stood there frozen. What did Everardo mean? Was there an organization? Were there more fraudsters? This story seemed to be just beginning. The next morning, the Houston FBI office was in chaos. Everardo Soto Reyes was sitting in the interrogation room, handcuffed, motionless. But that smile was still on his face. Mitchell threw the files on the table. 23 women, 23. You ruined each one's life. Everardo shrugged. "I didn't ruin anyone's life. They were already unhappy. You robbed them. You stole their identities. You committed violence against Keturah." "Keturah was different," said Everardo in a cold voice. "She was too curious. She asked too many questions. I had to stop her." Mitchell's stomach turned. This man truly had no conscience. "What did you say last night?" "You said we are many." "What did you mean?" Everardo leaned back. There was a strange light in his eyes. "You're FBI. You're smart. Figure it out yourself." Mitchell leaned forward. "Listen to me, Everardo. Right now, you have multiple charges against you. Identity theft, fraud, assault. You're going to get serious time. But if you cooperate, maybe we can make a deal," Everardo thought. There was a long silence. Then he spoke. "Okay, I'll tell you something. But first I want something." "What do you want?" "I want to talk to Keturah." Mitchell was surprised. "What?" "Keturah. I need to talk to her. I need to tell her something." "Are you crazy? After what you did to that woman, how dare you?" "If she talks to me," Everardo interrupted, "I'll tell you everything. Who they are, where they are, everything." Mitchell leaned back. Was this offer logical? Confronting Keturah with the source of her trauma. Was it right? But maybe it was necessary to save other victims. Mitchell stood up. "Wait," she left the room. She spoke with Reed. "Is this a good idea?" asked Reed. "I don't know. But if what he's saying is true, there could be other victims. Right now. In danger." Reed nodded. "We should ask Keturah. She should decide." An hour later, Mitchell was in Keturah's hospital room. Keturah was still in bed. Her bruising had lessened a bit, but she was still in pain. "Keturah," said Mitchell, "I'm going to ask you a question, and please don't feel pressured. This is completely your decision." Keturah looked anxiously. "What?" "Everardo wants to talk to you." Keturah's face went pale. "What?" "I know, but he can give us information." "About other victims?" "He says there's an organization. I can't see him." "Understood." "I won't force you." "But," Keturah interrupted, her voice trembling, If there are other women in danger?" She stopped. Tears gathered in her eyes. "No one should go through what I went through." Mitchell gently asked, "So can you do it?" Keturah took a deep breath. "Yes, I can do it." 2 hours later, a special room was prepared at the FBI office. A table, 2 chairs, a glass partition, Everardo on one side, Keturah on the other. When Keturah entered, her hands were trembling. Mitchell was with her. When Everardo saw her, his face changed. The smile disappeared. "Keturah," he said. Keturah didn't even look at him. Her eyes were fixed on the floor. You were very unfair to me," said Everardo. Keturah raised her head. She was shocked. "Me?" "Yes. You said you loved me, but you didn't trust me. You beat me. You broke my phone. You stole my money. Because you didn't listen to me. You were always talking to others. Keturah couldn't believe what she was hearing. This man was truly insane. Mitchell intervened. Everardo, stop talking nonsense. You came here to give us information. Talk. Everardo didn't take his eyes off Keturah. Keturah, I'm going to tell you something, and this will be hard for you. I never loved you. Keturah's breath caught. You were just a target for me, a piece in a game. I never really cared about you. Keturah began to cry silently. But I want you to know, you weren't alone. There are dozens of women, and there still are. Mitchell leaned forward. Who? Where are they? Everardo turned back. I'll tell you. But first I want Keturah to forgive me. Mitchell was surprised. What? Keturah, forgive me, and I'll tell you everything. Keturah was trembling. Anger, pain, fear, everything was mixed inside her. No, she said. Everardo frowned. What? No, Keturah repeated, this time stronger. I won't forgive you, never. You ruined my life. You used me. You lied to me. But worst of all, you broke my heart. Tears were streaming down her cheeks, but her voice was determined. I'm not stupid enough to beg for your forgiveness. You're a monster, and I hope you rot in prison for the rest of your life. Everardo's face became like stone. Mitchell smiled inside. Keturah had come out strong. Everardo, said Mitchell, you didn't deserve forgiveness. But I'm giving you one more chance. Talk, or there will be no deal. Everardo remained silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. There are 3 people in Dallas, 2 in Phoenix, 1 in Atlanta. Mitchell quickly took notes. Names? Carlos Medina, Diego Herrera, Marco Vega. What are they doing? The same thing. They find women. They approach them. They gain their trust, then steal their identities. How did you organize? Online, Telegram groups. We teach each other tactics. We share which women are easy targets. Mitchell's stomach turned. This was a full-blown operation. How many of you are there? I don't know. Maybe 20. Maybe 30. Who's your leader? Everardo hesitated. He didn't want to answer this question. No one's the leader. Everyone's equal. But Mitchell knew he was lying. Everardo, last chance. Who's the leader? Everardo's look changed. There was fear in it. If I tell, they'll kill me. We'll protect you. No, said Everardo harshly. You don't know. Those men, they're everywhere. Even in prison, Mitchell understood. This wasn't just a fraud gang. It was something bigger. What's his name? Everardo whispered. El Lobo, the wolf. Real name? I don't know. No one knows. He only communicates through Telegram. Never showed his face. Mitchell asked more questions. Got every detail. Finally, Everardo was exhausted. He had nothing left to say. Okay, said Mitchell. They'll take you back to your cell. Everardo stood up. He looked at Keturah one last time. Keturah, I hope someday you'll forgive me. Keturah looked at him. There was no longer fear in her eyes. Only pity I won't forgive you. But I'll pray for you, because you're a sick person. And I hope someday you'll change. Everardo said nothing. He just bowed his head and was taken out. Mitchell turned to Keturah. You're very brave. Keturah smiled. It was the first real smile. I'm not afraid anymore. That day, the FBI launched a major operation. Dallas, Phoenix, Atlanta. Simultaneous raids everywhere. Carlos Medina was caught in Dallas. He was living in a woman's house. The woman didn't even know what was happening. Diego Herrera tried to escape in Phoenix, but police stopped him. Marco Vega surrendered in Atlanta. He didn't even resist. And more. When the FBI hacked the Telegram groups, they found 23 different names, each in different states. Each was deceiving women. Within a week, 17 people were arrested. But El Lobo, the wolf, still couldn't be found. 3 days after the operation, the FBI held a press conference. Mitchell stood at the podium. Behind her were photos of the arrested. Today I will announce the results of an important operation, she said. In the last week, 17 suspects have been caught, all members of an organized fraud gang. This gang had been targeting women for years. They approached them, gained their trust, then stole their identities. The number of victims we've identified so far is 63. Journalists were shocked. 63 women. One asked, are these women safe now? Most of them, yes. We reached all of them. We're offering psychological support. What about the leader? Was the person called El Lobo caught? Mitchell's face darkened. Not yet, but our investigation continues. After the conference, Mitchell returned to her office. She was tired, but satisfied. At least 17 monsters had been cleaned from the streets. That evening, Keturah was discharged from the hospital. She had now healed physically, but the psychological wounds were still fresh. Mitchell came to visit her. She had a file in her hand. "Keturah, I want to show you something." She opened the file. Inside were photographs. "These are the other victims," said Mitchell. "Thanks to the information Everardo gave, we reached all of them." Keturah looked at the photographs. Each was a different woman, different ages, different races, but all had the same thing in their eyes: pain. "Are they like me?" asked Keturah. Yes, they all went through the same thing. They were deceived. They were used. They were robbed, Keturah cried silently. "Why? Why are there so many bad people in the world?" Mitchell sat next to her. "I don't know, Keturah, but I know this. You're brave. You confronted them, and you helped other women be saved. But I'm still afraid. That's normal. Trauma doesn't go away in a day. But with time, you'll heal." Keturah nodded. "What about Everardo?" "What will happen to him? The trial process will begin. He'll probably get 20 years. "Good," said Keturah. "Because he shouldn't hurt other women," Mitchell smiled. "Keturah, there's something else. Some of the other victims want to talk to you." Keturah was surprised. "To me?" "Yes, because you spoke up. You helped the FBI, and they want to do the same." Keturah thought, then nodded. "Okay, I'll talk." The next day, a special meeting was organized at the FBI office. 7 women had come, all from different states. But all their stories were similar. The first to speak was Sandra Rodriguez, 48 years old, from Dallas. "I met Carlos Medina," she said. "He treated me well. He brought flowers. He made me feel special. Then he moved into my house. And one morning when I woke up, my account was empty. Carlos was gone too. For 3 years I blamed myself. How could I be so stupid? I thought. But now I understand. I wasn't stupid. He was a professional con artist." The other women nodded. They had all experienced the same feelings. The second to speak was Lisa Chen, 51 years old, from Phoenix. "Diego found me," she said, "at the supermarket." Kind, polite, romantic. 6 months later, he said he wanted to marry me. I was so happy. But a week before the wedding, he disappeared, along with $30,000. Her eyes filled. I couldn't tell anyone. I was so ashamed. Keturah stood up. She hugged Lisa. "You don't need to be ashamed anymore," Lisa cried. "Thank you," another woman spoke. Then another, and another. Each shared their story. Each expressed their pain. And finally, Keturah spoke. "I'm one of you," she said. "I was deceived too. I was used too. But I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a survivor now. And so are you. These men used our weakness. They used our loneliness. They used our need for love. But it's not our fault. It's theirs." The women applauded, in tears but strong. Mitchell stood in the corner watching. Her heart was full. These women hadn't been broken, hadn't been crushed. They had survived. Mitchell knew the work wasn't finished. This story would continue. But at least Keturah was safe, and maybe this was the beginning of justice. What do you think? Can El Lobo be caught? How many more women can be saved? And most importantly, how will Keturah continue her life? Everything will be revealed in the final chapter. 6 months passed. Autumn was beginning in Houston. Leaves were falling. The weather was cooling. Every morning when Keturah Williams woke up, she would look out the window and smile. She wasn't afraid anymore. She wasn't having nightmares anymore. Therapy had worked. Dr. Hayes met with her every week. They talked. She was healing. She had returned to work. The supermarket felt different to her now. Every customer didn't look like a threat anymore. Her friends had supported her. Her father had come from Florida and stayed with her for 2 weeks. "Daughter, you're so strong," he had said. "Your mother would be proud from heaven." And Keturah had begun to believe it. But the story wasn't over. Everardo's trial process continued. The prosecution had filed charges for 14 separate crimes: identity theft, fraud, assault, threats. The list went on. Everardo had admitted his crimes. But he didn't seem remorseful. Even when sitting in the courtroom, that strange smile was on his face. Keturah had gone to court to testify. Standing before the judge, she had told everything. How she was deceived, how she was imprisoned, how she experienced violence. "Everardo Soto Reyes destroyed my life," she had said. "But I survived. And I ensured other women survived too." The judge had nodded. He had been impressed by Keturah's courage. The sentencing hearing was held in October. The judge delivered his verdict, 23 years in prison. No parole. Everardo showed no reaction. He just stood up and was taken away. As Keturah left the courtroom, she felt relieved. Justice had been served. At least for Everardo, but El Lobo still hadn't been caught. The FBI was still looking for him. Mitchell and her team were working non-stop. They examined the telegram groups. They tracked IP addresses, but El Lobo was very careful. He always used proxies. He always connected from different locations. He was almost like a ghost. One day, Mitchell called Keturah. "The search is still ongoing," she said. "But it's difficult. The man is very smart. You'll find him one day," said Keturah. "I believe it, and maybe they would. Or maybe El Lobo would remain hidden forever." But one thing had changed. The gang had been dismantled. 17 members were in prison. The others had gone into hiding in fear. They couldn't move in an organized way anymore. They couldn't easily deceive women anymore. The FBI was watching them. Police were on alert, and women were more alert now. Keturah started a support group. She came together with the other victims. They met every week. They talked. They gave each other strength. Sandra, Lisa, Maria, Jennifer. They were all there. At first they were shy. It was hard to talk, but over time they opened up. They shared. They cried. They laughed, and they healed. One day Keturah said something to the group. "You know, I still sometimes get angry at myself. How could I be so blind?" "I think," the women nodded. They all felt the same way. "But then I remember this," said Keturah. "I just wanted to be loved. And that's not wrong. What was wrong was the man who deceived me. He used me. He's guilty, not me. And I'm stopping blaming myself now." Sandra smiled through tears. "So are we." As Keturah went home that day, she felt different. Light, free, hopeful. Life continued. And she would continue too. Maybe one day she could trust someone again. Maybe one day she could fall in love again, but this time would be different. This time she would be more careful, and never again would she allow anyone to control her. When Keturah entered her home, she stopped in front of the mirror. She looked at her face. There was no trace of bruises anymore. The wounds had healed, but most importantly, the light in her eyes had returned. "I'm strong," she said to herself. "I'm a survivor," and yes, she was. Now I want to ask you one last thing. What did this story teach you? Maybe you realized how someone you loved was trying to control you. Maybe you understood how loneliness can make you vulnerable. Or maybe you saw how powerful surviving is. Keturah's story is real. Hundreds of women experience the same thing. The Everardos are still out there. Con artists, manipulators, violent people, they're all still there. But there are victims too. There are survivors too, and they're not staying silent anymore. If you or someone you know is in such a relationship, please ask for help. Call the police. Tell your family members. Join support groups. You're not alone. And remember, love should never hurt you. Real love is respect. It's trust. It's peace. If there's fear, that's not love. Keturah learned this. She learned it the hard way, but now she's free. Now she's strong. Now she's alive, and you can be too. Share this story. Let people know. Let people be careful. Because knowledge is power, and awareness saves lives. Write to us in the comments. How did this story affect you? Did someone you know experience something similar? And most importantly, do you think El Lobo will be caught one day? We believe yes. Justice always works slowly. But it wins in the end, and when that day comes, all victims will be free. Keep following us, because we'll continue to tell true stories. Stories of survivors. Stories where justice won. And we hope your story will never be like this. Stay safe, be careful, and love yourself, because you deserve it. See you in the next story.